Correct. Namaskar to all of us. Today we are on this exclusive show, the ENFRA show, and on a very important issue of the country, and that is related to the coal crisis. When we say the coal crisis, it will land in the power crisis for sure. So we have today with us Sri PVSN MURTY, who formerly headed the Alstom Power, and as well as he was later on head of the VOITH Hydro. And also we have none other than Khazanchi Saab, the Honorable DRUK THUKSEY, and who has served beautifully in Bhutan, and he knows a thing or two about how crisis can be managed, because hydro has been our mainstay to save the grid from collapse for a very long time. Of course, we are in a zone where our hydropower capacities at this point are 46.5 gigawatt in an installed traction of 400 gigawatt, which is lowest in the history, 11.62% in the history of power sector. It is the lowest ever in the history of power sector. And in power generation terms also, this will work out to about 14%, not more than that. 14 to 15, it can at the max go. But then today's discussion is primarily front-ended towards the coal crisis and the resultant power crisis in the thermal power sector. So Murthy Saab, my first question is, see, government has come to a stage, everybody was saying the crisis is on. Almost 3 months to 4 months we are discussing this crisis, that it is coming. But finally it is in front of our doorstep. And we can keep saying that it was because of the Russia-Ukraine crisis that this came, but that will be a misnomer, because we were waiting for something like this to happen. And I see that the heat wave suddenly went up. The demand for electricity jumped up for sure. And this was expected because worldwide there is an erratic situation of climate action. But I would also say one thing to you, that there is a question whether this temperature is because of X, Y, Z, or because of whatever is being done in the Ukraine-Russia war, where probably the NATO and other forces are trying all their weapons on the planet, and everybody is into weapons experimentation probably. So our discussion today is not that. But temperatures have risen. And it is very specific. The weather departments worldwide have, in a way, said that this may not be an actual climate change situation alone. It has other reasons, but nobody is opening up that it could be the war or any of the crisis and temperature zone locally. India is facing at least a 2-degree rise than normal from anywhere. And we said that we will wait for the industrial era under the UN IPCC. And we'll wait for delta 2-degree. And we want 2050. It is already in front of you. By some accident, by some human situation, by some creation, by some global, skullduggery of politics, whatever it is, we are seeing in India very heavy temperatures this year. And Absolutely. This is a very dangerous situation, because we have a situation where the monsoon may be arriving in the southern and western India quickly, but the rest of the India is going to definitely struggle with the high heat. Under this, my first question is to Khazanchi Saab. Khazanchi Saab, we have the geological deposits of coal, which are 384 billion tons plus known in the old survey. And we are not still reaching 1 billion tons of coal production. See, why we are, loitering at 600 million, 700 million tons at Coal India, and we are not technically unbundled. It still remains a monopoly. So is this not the primary problem? Forget the quality of the coal, ash content, all this bahana is the, usme washing ho sakti hai, sabse poor quality of coal we are using for power generation. High quality of coal with higher, better GCV, gross calorific value, 3,800, 4,000 wala jo hai, wo hamare India mein usse upar 4,800 ke upar milega nahi. That goes to production of steel. जो power sector को मिल रहा है और 3,600 किलो कैलोरीज पर किलो का.
Now, this is a relevant question. Whatever is the quality, whether we say it's poor, very poor, or better quality is used for steel, question is why this is not extracted and used locally. That is a very important question. This is basically a clear failure of getting things done and living in our own world. And at the same time, if you see, we have ignored the renewable, especially hydropower, very badly. I have lived all my life in hydropower. We used to be miserable. When we would see that something is planned, it doesn't come up. After 5 years, you find that we have not reached even 25. I don't recall a single plan, 5-year plan, where we could even touch 25% of our targets. It was miserable all along. So the basic failure, irrespective of which government, when it's, and unfortunately, it must come on the bureaucracy. Then the managers of these plants and managers, the CEOs of all these companies, it's for them to see. So according to me, as you say now, the temperatures have gone high, 2 to 4 degrees, they say more than average, whether it's because of the war, using the armaments, or it is a global warming, whatever be the reason. This is expected. This was expected last year also. We have been talking about it, that there's going to be a change. Temperatures will be going higher every year. And starting a summer 10 days earlier or 15 days there is not new. It has been happening in the past also. And only 50 years back, we had a similar summer, early summer, May, 52 years back. So, and one of the worst after 122 years. That means a century back also we had that thing.
Right.
So basically it is a failure on our own implementing things. It's a failure. It's a failure. And at the one extreme, we say that we are surplus in power. And that is that whatever we have, we are not able to do that. This is an irony. We have not. How can we be surplus in power? You have the same population, almost the same population as in China. You are 140 crores, they are 144 crores. Just less than 3% more than you. And what is the installed capacities? All mixed. Forget about the mixes. They are 5 times more than ours.
Yeah, almost 5x.
5.75.
So where are we? For coal power plant itself in China, we have 205 gigawatt here.
Yeah, this time they are miserable. They are not gigawatt. But question is, once we say that we are surplus, and when it comes to load shedding is happening in all states, everywhere.
Yeah. Now it is almost more than 15 states.
Every state has a load shedding.
Last month,
states. आप Northeast, Himachal, ये छोटे-छोटे state निकाल दीजिए. Rest of the states, even a very powerful, a small one like Telangana, where Murthy Sahab is sitting, has power cuts. Even वो भी face कर रहा है.
हाँ, यहाँ पे भी आधा घंटा.
हाँ, छोटा है लेकिन
है power cut है.
हाँ, तमिलनाडु का जबरदस्त है. तमिलनाडु, I heard that 8 to 10 hours भी है.
Yes. Andhra Pradesh has got power cuts.
Maharashtra, I don't face maximum power cut, but daily कुछ ना कुछ cut हो जाता.
Absolutely.
हमारे दिल्ली में इस वक्त इतने पावर कट्स नहीं है, लेकिन we don't know. हम जब सो रहे होंगे तो पावर कट हो जाए, सुबह बिजली आ जाता है. Something like that. Now this one screen में आपके एक state wise deficit power की दिखाई जा रही है. This came in the Indian Express. If you see this, it is statewide deficit. See, I see in statewide deficit, average deficit are in the region of, I would say, some states in 3%, some states in 17%. Even Himachal Pradesh, which is supposed to do well, has a 3% deficit. ये थोड़े से million units के terms पे deficit states हैं. And if you watch all these states, we don't have in this, the state of Maharashtra is not written. That means Maharashtra is managing it. Gujarat is not there. You can see all these states are managing their power deficit. But even the Telangana is not there.
Andhra Pradesh is not there.
है ना? उत्तर प्रदेश का नाम भी नहीं लिखा है क्योंकि it is able to procure power. No, उत्तर प्रदेश इधर दिख नहीं रहा.
उत्तर प्रदेश, surprising.
Our Union territory of J&K.
UP is also there.
UP is there, 4.45%.
हाँ, UP भी है. So basically it is very simple. If I simply put it, the states minus Haryana are all industrial states are not here. एक मैंने observation किया कि the industrially strong states, Tamil Nadu is not visible. So if this is the truth, I think there is a lot of other kind of propaganda going on. That means the states of Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, which are being constantly attacked by some media, are doing better, including Telangana, I would say. Even I don't see the name of Andhra Pradesh here.
That's what I'm saying. Andhra Pradesh is also not there.
Rajasthan is into it because they have a huge amount of coal power plant. They have no other source. They don't have hydro. Much.
Yeah, they have only coal.
Rajasthan ko share mil jata hydro nuclear ka, but they are in trouble. 13.67%. Jharkhand, which the surprising part is Jharkhand, that is the highest quantum of coal. One of the highest quantum of
and that has got the biggest shortage.
That has got the 17.6%. So there is a heavy mismanagement going on in this.
Absolutely.
In Punjab, we know what is happening. Bihar, we don't have to comment because Bihar neither industrialized nor consumption.
Nor consumption.
Per capita consumption is low. But Rajasthan is a reasonably good industrial and agro state, which is suffering.
And which is suffering 14% almost.
Yeah. And the Jharkhand 17% is just unimaginable.
That's most surprising.
I thought it is good to discuss. I thought I told Tyagarajan to throw this graphics so that we can understand that, people can say the states are not managing well. But the hard reality is whether the state manage well or not. The most important issue is, are we having a national strategy to counter the power crisis? Do we have a national strategy? Murthy Saab.
I don't think there is any specific national strategy to be seen by the people of this country, including the power specialists. Basically, you see, the coal shortage is very visible. As per the Coal India statistics itself, at the end of 21-22, with the previous year, they have done only 4.4% increase in the coal production.
Exactly. This is my point.
That's exactly where Coal India is making every coal plant suffer. And if you are making only 4.4% of increase in the production, most of this you divert it to fertilizers, then what are you allocating to the power sector? That is a big question mark. And there is no, rather it's all opaque of what is happening in the Coal India structure in India. Nobody wants to talk about it. Nobody wants to pinpoint what is happening in the Coal India. Why that opaque structure is happening? Why they are not able to meet the peak demand? You see, at the same time, the demand has gone up from previous year to 22nd March year is about 15%. That means your increase in production is 4.4, whereas your demand has gone by 15%. What does that mean? That means it shows there's a big mismanagement in the demand and requirement. Supply-demand position is not being followed up properly by Coal India. So who is responsible for this? And unfortunately, none of the basic electronic media never talks about it. People will never come to know about it. What is happening on these things? People will talk about only power cut, but they don't know the reason of real power cut, why it is happening, what is the mismanagement, where is the mismanagement happening. And I think this needs to be brought to the people knowledge. That's most important.
I want Tyaga to throw up that graphic just now on the few reasons that have come up in the media domain. I'm going to say the general media domain because we are specialists.
General media.
So we need
They're not specialists. They're not specialists.
So these are the reasons why there is a coal shortage, and this has come in the Indian Express Group article. Yes. It says 108 of 173 thermal power plants have critically low levels of stock. And this is 1 week back story. The story is 1 week back.
Yeah, it's 1 week back story. 1 week back.
Happened when I checked today. Then surges and a major heat wave spell across India. That's the type of thing. I'm just going crisscross. Then power demand is hitting record high due to economic recovery from COVID-19. Now, these are the reasons they have cited. Some imported coal-based power plants are not in production due to high international prices of coal. This is correct. Poor financial performance of distribution companies has left some of the unable to resume supply. I think this is a bogey because
I agree. It is not correct. It's a bogey.
They are neither generating any power. They are not in generation. They are only purchasing the power. They have the exchanges. They can go there and buy the power on short-term basis.
Absolutely.
They can do power trading. They can do any amount of this thing. So I think we should not mix up the DISCOM issue with the issues pertaining to the coal and thermal. The railway has thus far been unable to transport sufficient coal to thermal power plant. This is correct. And we will come to this. The states including Jharkhand, and they have written Maharashtra. I don't see in the graphics the Maharashtra, but they write Maharashtra have large outstanding dues. Now, this outstanding dues, Maharashtra, the Honorable Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray came up with the fact that GST payments of roughly 26,000 crores are not paid. Many states are crying on that. So then this issue, go to a political dimension.
Yeah.
So I want Khazanchi sir to respond on these, because a couple of these minimum are looking political. Media also, mainstream media, and this is print media. So I would respect them more than the visual media. Visual media is running some other commentary. But when the print media like an Indian Express makes some glaring blunders of pulling in the discoms will buy power based on economic cost of power and whether it is available. They don't have the huge money, but they have to go with the public. They cannot supply power at exorbitant prices. They have to supply power at affordable prices. So unke challenges hai. So just hammering the discoms around may be dangerous because discoms are inefficient from another perspective, not this perspective. कि आप free power मत दे दो, कितना दे सकते हैं, फिर आप दे रहे हैं तो आप उसको पैसा दे दो. Without paying the money, they cannot be forced to supply free power. So these are the issues of discom which are different. And then next is whether they adopt advanced technology or smart grid and all. It is not our topic today. Our topic today between us is whether the coal sector has inefficiencies, whether at inherent inefficiencies, there are monopolies, which we have found out is there. And a 4.5% growth rate, as pointed out by Murthy Saab, is not the growth rate that power sector needs. Power sector needs more than double-digit growth rate if the economy has to grow at 8%. So any sector supplying to power sector like coal cannot grow at 4.5% for sure. Khazanchi sir.
Not do that 9%. No, actually, I'll tell you, I come from a very small state. It's a union territory now. And I happened to be there last month. Although we had heat wave in this area, but it was still reasonable there in Kashmir Valley. And you could see the power shedding, load shedding during April month. And it happened to be the local population is Muslim dominated, and there were genuine problems. At the time of early in the morning, when you get up for starting your fast, you have no arrangements, you have no electricity, you have nothing to do. And in the evening, even at iftar time, both, whether it's morning or evening, electricity. And so much so, there was a lot of unrest. This becomes an irritant for people. When you need this most, and when people are prepared, it's not only that we say power theft. No, people are prepared to pay. I'm talking of areas where, and yet it is not there. So it's a mismanagement.
Yeah.
It's a mismanagement, terrific mismanagement.
So now one question, while we are discussing, let me read out what is the situation of invoking the Section 11 of the Electricity Act. What is this Section 11 of the Electricity Act? Let us read it out to the readers, viewers and others who come into this program when we finally share with them. Section 11 of the Electricity Act states that under extraordinary circumstances, the word is extraordinary circumstances, the government can ask power generation companies to operate and maintain output in accordance with directions given. For the purpose of this section, the expression extraordinary circumstances means circumstances related to threat of security of the state, public order, or natural calamity, or such other circumstances arising in public interest. This is the text, or this is the spirit of the Section 11. The section also states that an appropriate commission may consider offsetting the adverse financial impact of the directions on any generating company in such manner as it's considered appropriate. It's a very open-ended kind of a law, but it is like an emergency act in the power sector, and this has been invoked by the government almost 48 or 72 hours back. The government has invoked the Section 11 of the Electricity Act. This is a very extraordinary circumstance, means an emergency situation, and this itself says that any denial of a power crisis is staying, it's like misleading anybody or staying in perpetual denial of the self when he has gone and invoked the Section 11 of the Electricity Act.
As you are reading it, sorry for interrupting. I don't find any reason in this which can justify invoking this.
Okay.
I don't find, as you read out.
Right, sir.
What is it? What is it that it has been now invoked for?
No, my question is, are they hiding something?
Yeah.
Absolutely. लगता है? Absolutely. You see, everybody knows by April, the power demand goes up. The temperature goes up, the power demand goes up. Then what is the planning they have done it earlier? That means there is some big failure from the planners of this team. And that's where they are trying to hide it out. And they've declared an emergency for the LCD. That's it as I see it. That's how I interpret it. Otherwise, everybody knows April, May, the peak summer is going to come up and the demand will go up. That means you are supposed to make your generation plants get ready to generate to the demand. In the demand supply position is always to be checked up. That means if you are failing in the demand and supply demand position only, you would like to evoke such emergency situations. Otherwise, what is the need? Have we seen earlier such situations? I don't think so.
Right. Now, I have a point. You know, when they invoke this, Khazanchi sahab, aapke paas hi aa raha hoon. When they invoked it, the amount of imported coal-based power plant is about 17,600 megawatt in the country. Total install, of which they are saying 10,000 is operating. Now, this also is a very dicey statement because I know that Mundra will be operating about, Adani Mundra will be operating roughly 2,000 megawatt plus for sure, 55% PLF pe chalega. Tata's will also do it, which is the Tata Mundra. Then there is a Sasan. These three themselves are 16,000 megawatt. And there may be a few other power plants. So they are already operating at 50% capacity there because they will try to not violate the act, but at the same time, they may not operate at higher PLFs. And historically, these power plants of the supercritical have been only operating at 60-65%. They have never operated at the 95%. The subcritical plants of NTPC have been operating, like Vindhyachal, Sipar. Ye jo power plants, they are not supercritical, they are subcritical. These subcritical capacity power plants with 500 megawatt machines, they have received our awards, ENERTIA awards, and Ramagundam. You know, I've just named a few of them in front of you. So NTPC also, I found out, is operating below 75% PLF, although they have ramped up using local coal. But they are not able to come beyond the 75%. It is hovering between 68% to 73%.
And very importantly, there is something I was going through NTPC site, very interesting data. You see, their data talks about 2005-06 onwards. 2005-06 to 2013-14, they operated the plant load factor of 87.52, peaked at 93, average. They came down to 81.5. Okay. And then they have data only from 14-15 to 17-18. It stops there. And the plant load factor, average plant load factor, has come down to 80.23 to 77.9.
Yeah, no, see.
And there is no data for the last 2 years. Very surprising. No plant load, average plant load factor from NTPC side to check it up. It is not there.
No, I'll tell you, we have found out this data in the past. We have discussed this as well. See, the average plant load factor of most of the NTPC power plants will hover around the 75% mark. But when you take the entire aspect, that means the subcritical plants all together, the 200 megawatt, 250 megawatt, 300 megawatt stuff, which BHL machines are there, which are quite highly efficient, which are also very good because Jindal is operating the same machine in Raigad and they are reporting 90% plus PLFs. At times, they have even operated 100% PLF. Dahanu is an example of a thermal power plant operating at 100% plus. It is even taking extra capacity of the electrical side. So it is not that thermal power plants can't operate, but they have a problem. Once they cannot ramp up. They will go to a certain capacity and they will stay put.
They will
come down to a capacity, stay put. We know the base load operations.
Absolutely, base load operation.
They are not like hydropower. They are not flexible. They are not designed to be flexible. You know, and even if there is some flexibility which can come in, this is very marginal flexibility. It can't take over sudden peak shaving of the grid.
That is true.
That is cannot be done by we cannot be done by solar. Solar is only at a certain period of time, 6 hours of day. Sun rises, sun sets, solar is there. Wind is erratic. It can be off taken in an erratic fashion. Again, it becomes a base load erratic. We'll go base load power plant with erratic and uniformity. And then the only power plant left to save us is the nuclear, but that is always going to be at a certain base load only. It cannot
that
come
is a particular base load.
methodology in which nuclear can be taken out. Nuclear reaction operates. You continue to operate. Even if you shut down the power plant, you have to continue to operate the reactor. The reactor will operate without generating power. That is a waste of resource for all of us. So we all know. And this part, I think, must be educated. Whether it's a politician, whether it is the IAS officers, whether anybody, they should come to a classroom set up by all of us, and they should learn this and go and talk. They are talking political language, which is not helpful to anybody.
Absolutely right.
Everybody escaping on the certain day, but doesn't tell the public what they are doing or what they are actually acting upon. What are the action taken to mitigate the crisis? So each one blaming themselves. Then the railway ministry will talk of something else. Therefore, I want to bring you to that point. Is there an issue? See, now this first point that I'm asking is this 7,800 megawatt worth of plants which are not under operation of the 17,600, which could be a combination of plants or lower PLFs. Now, invoking the section 11, how effective it will be? Khazanchi साहब तो बोल रहे कोई कारण ही नहीं है. He's already saying this point. Now, because most of them would be operating some capacity. So, whom you are directing this section 11 at? Khazanchi sir, you can answer first.
Yeah.
जी.
Yes, sir, Khazanchi sir.
जी.
हाँ नहीं, मैंने कहा ये सेक्शन 11 किसकी तरफ टारगेट किया जा रहा है? वो ये तो आ जाएंगे कोर्ट में कहेंगे हम तो प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं, हमारे पास उतना ही कैपेसिटी है, हम उससे ज्यादा कॉस्टली कोयला खरीद नहीं सकते. $150 का कोयला कौन खरीदेगा पर टन?
According to me,
200-300 भी पहुंच गया था बीच में.
According to me, it's more of an eyewash.
Yeah, easy to tell the public that they are acting, but
government saying that we have taken an emergency action. That means something has improved, which is not going to be. As you said, there won't be change.
I know.
Where from? So it's more of an eyewash.
Yeah, and then what purpose it serves? See, either you are accept this, or the only purpose I see is government in a backhanded way has accepted there is a power crisis and there is an emergency. I can soon say it is a statement of emergency, other than actually invoking the act itself, because there are provisions in the act. If fuel when consumers are passed through in the thermal power plant, then the violation of the levelized tariff will happen. So if in an emergency situation, is it a methodology to find out ways and means to increase the tariff? एक बार वो set हो गई, फिर वो price भी increase होके दे देंगे.
And also, I think, you see, there's a lot of thermal power plants also are in the state sector. In fact, the state sector is also more than central sector. If you see okay. So what I am looking at it is, by invoking this section, they are also targeting the state governments.
They are targeting two people, the state government and the private sector.
And the private sector, specifically state government, they say, you are inefficient, you are not able to run your plant, that's why you are not able to meet demand of your state. This is your problem, it is not my problem. That's what they are trying to tell the state governments by invoking this emergency clause. Similarly, they can target some of the private sector people whom they would like to target, saying that why you are not developing this. This is the reason behind invoking this emergency clause. That's what I look at it. If as a neutral one, seeing the complete capacity of the states and capacity of the private sector and capacity in the central sector. So what is happening? All the state government plants are run by state governments. They are responsible. So if you are not tied up your coal, it is your problem. If you are not able to stock the coal, why are you asking me right now? That is what is going to happen. Like what happened in the recent GDP price hike. State governments have not done their job in tax reduction. That statement has come up.
That's a very easy way out, because this is a federal issue.
Yes.
Instead of getting into a state center.
Absolutely. It is leading into a federal issue.
Together, chalk out strategic roadmap for ensuring that the full 400 gigawatt of electricity which we have, we can at least generate about 240 to 250 gigawatt. And you can't do more than that, because still hydro becomes double of the present capacity, or we push some capacity from Bhutan and Nepal into India. and also Northeast together.
Northeast.
If we don't add about 30 gigawatt more into this, I don't think they will be able to come anywhere above the 300 gigawatt of usage, because they are not understanding these fundamentals of power sector. Fundamentally, they have to ramp up the flexible power plant, and this flexible power capability today is 46.5 plus 20 gigawatt. With 20 gigawatt, which is unoperating gas-based power plants, which are not supplied power. So if you add these two, 46.5 plus, let us say, the full 25. So we have roughly about 70 gigawatt of flexible power plants.
Absolutely.
Now these flexible plants.
And another point you must see, for the last 2 months, there is a data available for January and February. They have not met the peak demand. It's very clear.
They cannot.
Peak demand and what is met? There's a gap.
Yeah, I'll tell you, the highest peak they could hit was 207.1 gigawatt on 29th April.
Yeah.
And before that, the recorded peak was in 205 gigawatt.
Absolutely.
And before that was 200 gigawatt.
That's it. You're right.
So basically, they have not been able to operate. And any time we want to offshave the peak demand, the chances of reaching 220 gigawatt is very high. And the moment they hit 220, I'm telling you, they are hitting the circuit.
Absolutely.
Because the theoretical calculation tells us that the optimum capacity usage will not cross 235 to 240. Under no circumstance they will be able to generate, because that capacity total, which we arithmetically we have done, is that considering PLF of 20% for solar, while it is not 20%, it is only 16%.
It is only 16%.
We have given 20% to it. Then wind we are considered 25%, so it will also not be more than 20%.
That's also, I don't think it is also.
Yeah, and as far as the gas-based power plants are there, we are only operating 5 gigawatt on a normal basis out of the 25 gigawatt odd we have. So and nuclear also, we will, even if we go 75% of the PLF of nuclear power plants today, we will not be able to get all that added together. I have done this mathematics at my end. The optimal that you can get, the best, or I would say, which is theoretically, not practically. Theoretically, you can go out of 400 gigawatt, you can utilize 240 gigawatt at any point of time, in which the peak shavers, which are only two power plants, which are gas and hydro. Of the 70 gigawatt, I have found out that it is only 35 gigawatt of hydro and a 5 gigawatt of gas, which is about 40 gigawatt is what is availability. So at any point of time, if your base load is hovering at around 180 to 200, then the peak shaving is available to you theoretically is only 40.
40, absolutely.
You can't use the whole of it. You may be off the circuit at 25 gigawatt itself.
Absolutely.
So, Khazanchi sahab, ye jara electrical issues hai, but I want your answer on this. With grid frequency balance karna hai, frequency 49.5 hertz to 50.05 hertz pe draw karna hai. How would the states draw if the frequency is not available to them? They cannot draw 8 rupees ka power.
You cannot draw. You're right.
Exchange में 12 रुपए की बिजली मिल रही है, कैसे लेंगे?
You won't draw.
So जिसको जरूरत है वो ले रहा है, 7 rupees to 12 rupees power ले रहा है. And then whom they will supply to? Will the villager, the agriculture consumer pay 7 rupees? Will the domestic consumer, who's already paying 10 rupees in many of the urban cities, that is Delhi, Kolkata, Mumbai, and क्या बोलते हैं, Hyderabad also, and maybe a few of the urban top township, वहाँ पैसा दे देंगे, 8 से 10 रुपया दे देंगे. What about the rest? B towns, Indore वाला देगा, Jaipur वाले देंगे.
They will not be interested.
They cannot afford.
They can't afford. Absolutely.
So they will go out of the grid. In a way, in a national issue, if so many people have lack of access of electricity and they are calculating how to get out of it and how to get electricity when required, so they will only use when they need it badly. For example, if there is very heavy heat, they will use at that time. Then when the heat goes, they will try to go back to lower capacities. All the ACs will go off. They will only come at this time in the winter. Sorry, in the summer, in the peak summer. अभी आ रही है. अब समझो महाराष्ट्र में बारिश आ जाएगी. बारिश के बाद तो एयर कंडीशनिंग लोड चला जाएगा, क्योंकि सब पंखे पे आ जाएंगे.
I read your white paper on hydropower. Right, sir. Which you presented on 22nd.
Right,
all
sir.
the 12 pages.
I know.
And you have rightly pointed out that we have always said that we are surplus.
Yeah.
Fundamental mistake has been that.
Right.
For the last almost 15 years, we have been saying that we are surplus. We are surplus. Where was that? Suppose we had been really surplus, then we would not have been in crisis anytime.
Bilkul,
Absolutely.
sir.
Absolutely, sir.
See, if China has something like more than 20 lakh megawatts of power installed capacity, all mixed put together, why should we at 4?
Exactly.
Why should we be at 4?
Exactly.
We should have been at least 8. At least this crisis would not have been there.
Right.
Have been better off today.
Right. No, I'm also very clear of the 205 gigawatt that you have of thermal. If you are not able to operate even 108 or 110 gigawatt, that is a question mark.
Absolutely, big question mark.
75% of the capacity operation.
Yes.
You said we don't have the coal.
150 gigawatt तो आपको प्रोड्यूस करने हैं थर्मल से. अगर आपकी 205 gigawatt है, आप 150 gigawatt तो बनाओ.
तो हम इमरजेंसी डिक्लेयर करेंगे और खुद हो जाएगा.
वो inefficiency thermal sector की है और वो inefficiency comes back. Now I come to the question. When 2014-15, when this entire thing came, there was a decision taken by the then power minister. It was Piyush Goyal who took the decision that geographically plants that are located will not transport coal over long distances. They will supply to nearby plants. Such a mapping was done. मैं आपको बता रहा हूँ, इसकी डिस्कशन नहीं हो रही है. यही मैपिंग हमको मुसीबत कर रही है. Because railways surrendered the wagons, railways kept them off, and now suddenly they want to see the wagons coming and the logistics के ऊपर जा रहे हैं, क्योंकि कोई पंजाब के पास कोयला नहीं है, तो you cannot bring it from only Uttar Pradesh. So UP may itself need that power for that coal for Anpara and others, and then suddenly you have to go to Odisha or Jharkhand to bring the coal or a Chhattisgarh. So ये जो geographic वाली बात थी ना, this for India does not work. That is why and imported coal का requirement भी बढ़ गया उस. Because then what happened? These plants which are near to coastal, they imported to coastal power plants, and वहां से capacity वो जो बीच के बिच्छू हैं और agents हैं, वो इनको blend करने के लिए coal, they were giving the coal. So they were using the blended coal, even hinterland power plants closer to the coastal. So states like Punjab would have got only the Indian coal, but states like Odisha, which has coastal power plants and hinterland, they would bring.
They have got a mixed plan.
Each one of us would bring, and private sector was bringing this, and they were also transacting in the coal. Excess capacity of the coal they had, they used to trade. Now rates are very high, and the payment structure is very long, because we know that in the power sector, the payment cycles definitely go to 3 months to 6 months at times. So normal है और वो normalize कर दिया गया है. Until we start working on an escrow mechanism, guaranteed escrows, we have to restructure the power sector's financial obligations. Failing which, the moment we do, I'm telling you, we will have more load shedding. Because then the discom will get affected, because the generators को नहीं देगा.
हाँ, वही होगा.
और डिस्कॉम के पास तो कैपेसिटी इंडेक्स नहीं है. They will go to Power Trading Corporation, PTC. They will go to exchange. They will find power in the market, or go to a state government, maybe like Maharashtra did with Sikkim. We are buying the THPA power. We had a lot of problems, but we have actually contracted the entire capacity almost. It was started at 7 rupees. I don't know what we are paying, but VP Raja, the ex-regulator, explained it was quite a tough task. But luckily, Maharashtra is buying the power from Sikkim all the way up. So this type of contract between states will also happen.
And this is, see, what is important to note here is a very well-oiled machine of logistics for the coal movement for complete power plants in India has been dismantled in the year 2014 and 15.
Yes.
And that is one of the important factor which is affecting today most of the power plant shortage of the coal also.
Yes.
And this point,
when the government, you are right, the government has cancelled 1,000 public trains.
Absolutely.
Public trains, and to provide right of way to coal movement. We can imagine what has happened to the logistics.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, railways are well known for such a logistics. This has been dismantled.
No, even now railways, see, I would say keep the railways out, railways still will deliver. The problem starts at Coal India.
Yeah.
Because their decisions are taken. And the current minister has not taken the decision. The previous minister has taken some decisions. The current ministers have challenged to reverse those decisions.
Absolutely. If
they have to be able to decision, emergency aaya hai. Ukraine crisis definitely, the Russia-Ukraine crisis definitely has an impact. But we cannot say that this international situation will not come. Any international situation will come and destroy your power supplies and other things. Even tomorrow there are sanctions. Suppose there is a disagreement between India and US on some issue. Maybe we do a third nuclear test. Game is over. 6 months sanction will come on us.
Energy sanctions may come anytime.
Yeah,
energy
because they are doing the Iran. Look at the foolishness. Sanction on Iran. Why India has to get into the sanction on Iran? We should buy our oil from Iran.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with the US unilateral sanctions on them. And if a set of countries and NATO start discussing these sanctions, India's energy security is more critical. And if you look at Section 11, then I think they should include something more in Section 11 that the country, they should pass in the parliament, that in case of Section 11, they can invoke emergency supply from any country.
In the world.
And no other country's sanction can be on us because we are a sovereign nation. We should add that in the part of the Section 11 of the Electricity Act. बोलिए साहब, खजांची साहब आपको क्या लगता है? हम किसी दूसरे देश की उसके ऊपर हम चलें?
पक्का.
So why not include that clause in Section 11 when the emergency powers or extraordinary powers are invoked?
And you can import
from the Adanis and the Tatas and JSWs, the top operators of India, कि go and buy coal from anywhere. Go and buy fuel from anywhere. आप उसको एक डंडा रख रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं आप खरीदें और आपकी डिप्लोमेसी भी चलेगी वहां से. रशिया से नहीं खरीदेंगे, ईरान से नहीं खरीदेंगे. We were not responsible for the Russia-Ukraine war. That is between the two countries.
No, during an emergency, that should be, yes, you're right. In emergency,
so why this is not there in that emergency clause of Section 11?
That is what you should send it to the government.
A sovereign country is making this act, and it is dependent on coal and fuel and everything overseas. Forget coal and fuel. We are dependent on CRGO importing. We are dependent on forgings importing. We are dependent on lithium importing today. We are dependent on silicon importing raw material.
Silicon.
We are an importing nation. How we cannot, we are not putting such a clause that in a case of an emergency and national security, we can go to any extent.
Yes, most of this data is not available in the public domain for the common people to understand these intricacies. That's one of the biggest problem in India.
Yes.
This is what I feel. The common man or middle people, they don't understand the intricacies of these sectors, the importance of energy. These things are not understood by the people. And that's what makes the government do whatever they think they can do it.
And you know, and this is not like that discussions of all this religious discussion, other discussions.
Absolutely.
Key discussion of the country.
Absolutely.
Roti, kapda, makan, digital connectivity, healthcare, education. ये हमारे most important discussion zone है. और इस पे कोई भी mass media, social media में इस पे they don't run programs on this regularly. They run programs.
They don't run. I agree with you. They don't run.
It's only Hindu-Muslim. It's only the other things. It is only, you know, hijabs, the other things. You know, basically it is only polarizing discussion in a country which wants to become a $6 trillion economy. It wants to double its economy to 6 trillion. How on earth we will do it without getting into these issues?
Absolutely.
Khazanchi sahab, you are a presidential awardee.
Yes.
You are also the highest civilian honor taker from Bhutan. हम भूटान से दोस्ती करें, हम उससे थोड़ी और हाइड्रो बनवाएं, हम emergency हाइड्रो पावर प्लांट तैयार करें.
Not to take that honor.
We are wasting our time. We are going and helping the Sri Lanka, the Rajapaksa brothers, who have got question mark on their head. And one fellow says, I will resign. The other fellow will stay there. And we are going to give them $1 billion help. And China, and when China nods, okay, India is giving, we are happy. Why they will not be happy? They are controlling Sri Lanka.
Complete Sri Lanka is under their control.
So we are helping a rogue state. I'm calling Sri Lanka a rogue state. Sri Lanka is a rogue state run by the Rajapakshas, who have been responsible for genocide of certain population over there today, right? We are helping those people. On what ground? They come begging bowl ke saath hamare paas aate. And then after they get the money, they will go towards China. So why we are not helping the Bhutans? Why we are not helping the Nepal? We work more with Nepal, and of course, thoda kaam shuru hua abhi. But I think, you know, we have to look at Bhutan and support them at this juncture. They are also going through an economic duress zone, and this will be the best time India should back them. We should back friendly countries. We should also pass a message. हमसे जो दोस्ती करेगा हम उसकी बहुत मदद करेंगे. जो हमारे से डबल गेम खेलेगा उसके साथ नहीं रहेगा.
उसके साथ ही किया ना.
यही तो कमाल है, उसके साथ दोस्ती कर रहे हैं. जो आपका भूटान सबसे बड़ा मित्र है, आप उसकी मदद करिए.
Unconditional बेचारे.
And not only that, why not bring the Nepal also issue up in a very strong way?
Most important.
Both Nepal and Bhutan are very, very important countries for us. More important than everybody else. And also Bangladesh for that matter. The three of us can do transaction on electricity. Grid to hamari bani hai. We're talking of global grid. Yahan par humne regional grid bana liya. Even China cannot boast of that. They can't send power properly to Taiwan also. वो शेंजन से हांगकांग को लिंक तो कर देगा. कोरियन पेनिनसुला के ऊपर अपनी प्रेशर डाल रहा है कि 650 गीगावाट पावर हम यहाँ बनाएंगे. They are trying to push that agenda on the Korean Peninsula. They are doing that. But you know, if you talk about regional grid, only India has developed the regional grid long ago, thanks to our Yogendra Prasad, 1978, when he came on deputation. We have discussed that in the book. That's the time, and our first Chukha power and all that, to bring that power, the Kurichu power and all that. We did all this in spite of all the pressure on the northeastern side, the chicken neck and everything. We achieved it. We are a great country from that perspective, but we have not expanded on this issue. Khazanchi sir, आपका reaction चाहिए.
क्या बताऊं? I tell you, अब तो it's a failure. I tell you, failure. I will repeat, the failure to develop power sector.
Very sad, sir. Very sad.
Complete failure. I don't say thermal or the solar or the wind or the hydro. No, we have failed on it. We have said that we don't need it. We are surplus. And every time you say surplus, if we had been surplus, why should this crisis be there?
Right.
Surplus
is a myth, sir. Surplus is a myth. Prasad Saab wrote about it in 2017 on our cover. And we are been talking, you have been discussing, Murthy Saab is saying, so many people are, we know there is no surplus power. जब हमारे neighbor के पास इतनी बिजली होकर भी वो 24/7 supplies पे नहीं आया है, China is not 24/7 supplies. Many of the villages receive 18 hours of electricity. That too, after, as you rightly said, कि 2 terawatt, that is 2000 gigawatt की traction होने के बावजूद,
because the area is large, they have lot of
and we also have almost similar population to serve. 138 crores, 140 crores, we are also there, but we have only 400 gigawatt and we are jumping from the rooftop and saying हम बहुत बड़े हो गए. ये कौन सी बात हुई?
That is a wonderful PowerPoint presentation made by then Power Minister, saying that we are power surplus.
Exactly.
We don't have any problem.
Exactly. That was questioned by all of us. We all questioned it. We all
wonderful PowerPoint presentation, which has been sent in social media, everywhere.
I want to bring both of you for bringing India to 6 trillion. I am discussing what the government is talking. Let us say, according to IMF and others, we will only achieve this in 2029 or 30. But according to me, if we have the will, we will have the way. And we will achieve in 2027 if we plan properly even now. We have all discussed this matter before, that if we double this 400 gigawatt to 800 gigawatt by 2027, we are sure to have the 6 trillion economy. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh yes, agree.
So where there's a will, there's a way. And even Tarun Kapoor, who has now become the advisor to the Honorable Prime Minister now, he gave me the last interview on the 22nd, when he said, we have to add in the region of 100 gigawatt. This he did not say in that interview. He said to me in the solar issues, when we were talking of green hydrogen and all that, because I don't believe in green and yellow and blue hydrogen. There's only one hydrogen. So when he said we may have to add 100 gigawatt per annum for the next 5 years.
Absolutely. No
and
doubt
what we are adding today?
2 gigawatt?
No, not 2. We're adding about, in the average of about 14 gigawatt per annum. When we were at 25 gigawatt in 2014.
Yeah. We were at
25 and 25 gigawatt for 2 continuous years. Now we are averaging 15 gigawatt. After 2017, it has come down.
Absolutely.
2017 until now, because the impact of policies came later.
Has come down now. It is showing no effect.
Because our present Power Minister R.K. Singh only took over in the year 2018 or so, right? So the rot had already set in. I'm not saying that he should not perform, but he had a major challenge from the past.
You see, a lot of previous decisions they may have to revoke and go with the new decisions.
Yes,
that is most important. And the man in the main seat has to take.
Your photo is gone.
Whose?
आपका वीडियो नहीं आ रहा है मेरे ख्याल से.
पता नहीं क्या हो गया.
चलो, anyway, our voice is there. Continue, sir.
Yeah, so that's you see what I always say is the person who is sitting at the main chair has to reverse the decision if needed. If the economy has go to 6 trillion, then power sector has to go double. There is no doubt about it.
Exactly.
Power sector and the economy are interlinked. I hope the ministers and the people sitting at the high end, they understand this basic point, because earlier, in my opinion, this is maybe a little different. Earlier, I used to believe that most of the bureaucrats know their job and they used to do their job very well.
And I'm very clear, this 100 gigawatt, when I'm saying we need 60 gigawatt of the renewable traction and 40 gigawatt of conventional power plant.
Absolutely.
If we don't plan in this manner, at least for the next 5 years, we can forget about our trillions. And we're talking about trillions. There's no point in talking these trillions unless we plan the power sector oriented towards the economy, because it's a driving sector. It is the key sector of the economy. Everybody now slowly have woken up, but now they must push. They must not only accept, but they must act. Our problem is implementation, sir.
And let me tell you one more thing. When you are talking about Atmanirbhar cannot happen without the power sector growing. Let us be very frank.
And you know, power is for everything. We have to supply. See, energy is a carrier.
Absolutely.
And this carrier will drive your agriculture, drive your industry, drive your commerce, drive your government.
Absolutely.
Everywhere it has to have the input. And they are very serious about the power sector. The most important ministry is the power ministry, other than the finance ministry.
Absolutely.
Home is there for security for sure. So one of the most important ministries is the power ministry for us, which includes the power, new and renewable energy altogether.
Yeah.
Khazanchi sahab, are we agreeing on this? नहीं, हाइड्रो तो बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है, पर वो रिन्यूएबल का सबसे बड़ा मास्टर्ड है, तो रिन्यूएबल को मैंने लगा दिया. मैंने कहा पावर, न्यू एंड रिन्यूएबल एनर्जी को जब तक आप सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट मंत्रालय एंड पॉलिसी कंस्ट्रक्ट एज वेल एज इंप्लीमेंटेशन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं बनाएंगे, आपकी यही हालत रहेगी.
So the emergency should be declared for that.
Absolutely, sir. Now that is a great point.
Ministry and also PMOs.
Yes.
3 of them to sit down, and maybe finance ministry also, and work out a plan and try to follow. We may fail by 10%, 15%, 25%, but at least they must revise now. Declare an emergency for that.
Right.
And perhaps hold people responsible also.
Accountability तो होगी नहीं तो क्या मतलब है?
Accountability is required.
अगर हम पिछले 5, 7 साल 8 साल में 25 गीगावाट्स के हिसाब से भी नहीं ग्रो हुए जो हमने सेट किया था 2014 में, क्योंकि that time when this secretary PK Sinha was the power secretary at the time, when the cabinet secretary was the power secretary, he's no more the cabinet secretary but at that time we saw this capacity index of 25 gigawatt of addition. After that, about 2017 onwards, we have reduced it to 14 to 15 gigawatt. अभी वो average तो वही है. इस साल शायद हम 17 gigawatt add कर दें, पर average out करेंगे.
And also emphasis is mostly on solar. Only solar they are emphasizing.
Capacity index growth rate, in spite of so much of wind, solar, everything coming, because there was absolutely no growth in hydro, no growth in thermal. Hydro growth was just 2 gigawatt.
That is the problem.
What?
That was pathetic.
The mix is not coordinated. The proper mix of power sector is not planned, and its growth is not planned by the team. And what we need is
I think Tarun Kapoor has a very tough job cut out for him. He has to catch hold of the low-hanging fruit, but he knows that we need to. He was himself saying we need to go to 100 gigawatt of capacity addition per annum, at a reasonable cost, then, I think he will have the challenge to look at, yes, we are using the basic custom duty of 25% for components and subcomponents and 40% BCD for modules. I'm saying keep the modules part of it, but on the components आप 25% क्यों लगा रहे हैं, वो तो हटाइए. Modules पे भी आप 25% से ऊपर लगाएंगे, inefficient है आपकी industry.
See, we had some complex about hydropower taking lot of time. And so on. Then we got the complex about that coal for thermal power plants. Where is the coal and what's the quality of the coal? And therefore, we put a brake there also. Brake in hydropower, brake in this. Okay. Then push solar. Okay. Push solar. Who is stopping you? But why not a growth? You stop, we will need no power, no more power, which was not right. Now also, we should wake up, declare an emergency, make a plan. Your papers are available. And I am certain there must be many, many more papers, even in the Niti Aayog at lower levels. Some exercise done and put in some file. They should have a group, have a committee. And I would even say that why not take people like you as members? 8-10 people, like-minded people who sit down and discuss it, debate it, and get the thing started. It can be done. Why not?
Right. See, I'm very clear.
My experience has been when we occupy a chair in government, any chair, we just take our time.
Right.
And when we come out, then we keep on talking about it, boasting that when I used to be there, we had a plan like this. We did 25 gigawatts a year. Then it reduced. When I was not there, I left. It came down to 14 and now it's averaging at 14 and 15. This is all one can talk, which is not right. Unless there is a commitment. A person leaves, I have perhaps talked to you also a number of times.
Yeah.
In a small bureaucracy like Bhutan, which I have seen, very small bureaucracy, a person who remains in charge of one ministry, even if he gets shifted, he remains answerable. It was surprising, I tell you. In a small country like Bhutan, a person in charge of trade industry today goes somewhere else in finance, he will not be spared for what he has failed the government in his previous post. He is answerable that time.
Right.
They pull him down. They give him unimportant assignments. Here it doesn't happen.
Now I'll give you the solar part of it. 2013, with the help of Dr. DJ Pandian, we had built that report of 100 gigawatt by 2022. That report we brought out. And we said the minimum will be 50 gigawatt, which we have proven right. Abhi 51 hai. हमने कहा upper limit will be 100 gigawatt, but 100 ideal है. तो कम से कम 75 gigawatt तो होना चाहिए सर. चाइना ने भी उसी टाइम शुरू किया 2013 में. Today they are 281 gigawatt. So everywhere we have made bahanas. But in the case of solar, we ran the race together. How China is way ahead of us. That means our manufacturing policies are not good. Our indigenization policies are not good. अब हमने production linked incentive का scheme लगाया. I don't want to name the party. One of the party which is building the biggest capacities in India is not taken the PLI scheme. They have taken the regional क्या बोलते हैं आपका जो chemical zone में जाके अपनी PV facility तैयार किया. So they are not taking the PLI scheme. That means there's something wrong. And then another area is ease of doing business. Where is the ease of doing business? I will give you now coming to coal. If coal washing, because in India with a very high ash content, we need to wash all the coal being used in thermal power plant. 100% washing चाहिए. तो आप coal washing करके poor grade जो calorific value उसकी कम है GCV, उसको wash करके use करेंगे तो उसका output ज़्यादा होगा, efficiency ज़्यादा होगा. Now that needs a lot of supply of water for coal washing. Then it needs those facilities. पर वहां पर तो monopolies है. Coal washing sector में तो monopolies है.
Monopolies है.
Coal की mining में भी माफिया है. जब आप इन monopolies को नहीं हटाएंगे, Coal India तो एक तरफ, दूसरी तरफ private coal mining जो contractual mining भी है, that is also run by mafias. So unless we break this voodoo, we don't have to privatize, but at least Coal India and other coal fields can do private contracting of production of coal. So if they give the private operator a joint venture to bring out the coal in more efficient way, using technologies like dragline instead of using open cast mining, I think things will be, and they should put in the specification, will give preference to those using advanced technology like dragline, etc. India has to see mining, coal mining sector mein efficiency and technology.
Absolutely.
And the other area is, if in the future you are not able to use the coal, maybe for 8 to 10 years, then pressure comes, then we should go for coal bed methane. इतनी 384 billion tons of coal पड़ी है, coal bed methane निकालिए, उससे hydrogen बनाइए. Why you are talking green, blue and all? Let this be grey, black hydrogen, no problem. Hydrogen is not black, hydrogen is green. Source से क्या मतलब है? इतनी मूर्खता है, we are following the West. Whatever they say is gospel truth for us. Why indigo, blue, red, green, violet, hydrogen? किसी भी source से बनाओ, hydrogen is hydrogen. Just like for many years, they said hydropower up to 25 megawatt is renewable energy. उसके बाद नहीं. कोई लॉजिक है क्या इसमें? कोई इंजीनियरिंग है, फिजिक्स का लॉजिक है, साइंस का लॉजिक है, बताइए. हाइड्रोजन में कार्बन होता है क्या सर? मैं कार्बन से अगर हाइड्रोजन निकाल लूं, CH4 को मतलब ब्रेक करके उसके हाइड्रोजन को मैं ट्रैप कर लूं, आई एम स्टिल प्रोड्यूसिंग ग्रीन फ्यूल. मुझे अभी तक
ग्रीन है, बियॉन्ड दैट
why we are not fighting? Why we are asking this West to dictate to us? They are stopping us by telling नहीं ये green होगा तो हम recognize करेगा, ये violet होगा हम blue होगा. अरे forget about green, blue, violet. If I need hydrogen, I'll produce hydrogen in quantum. Biggest quantum is 384 billion tons of coal. We can't use coal. So let us take the CBM out. BHL has the technology. Some private sector players have, European players have technology. There'll be a big market for coal bed methane in this country. देखिए green fuel की तरफ नहीं जा रहे.
Actually, what is happening is we are not exploiting
and
the
look at the stupidity. Look at the stupidity. We are going towards electrolysis of water. Water is a scarce commodity. अभी हमें desalination करके पानी पिलाना है लोगों को कोस्टल में, जहां पर हाइड्रो नहीं है. कोस्टल पावर प्लांट्स में आपको पानी पिलाना है. यू हैव टू सप्लाई, वाटर सप्लाई स्कीम्स करनी पड़ेंगी. हम उसकी जगह कह रहे हैं कि उसको निकाल के हम उसको ब्रेक करके उसके हाइड्रोजन अलग करेंगे, इलेक्ट्रोलाइसिस करेंगे, इलेक्ट्रोलाइजर डालेंगे एंड मेगा क्वांटम ऑफ हम हाइड्रोजन बनाएंगे. भाई तो वो कोयले से बना लो मेगा क्वांटम, वो किसी का काम नहीं आ रहा, वो नीचे पड़ा रहेगा जमीन के. खजांची साहब, मुझे ऐसा लगता है पता नहीं हम क्या पढ़ रहे हैं, हमारे इंजीनियर्स को क्या पढ़ाया जा रहा है, हमारे बड़े होशियार लोग हैं आईएएस ऑफिसर्स, वो क्या पढ़ रहे हैं. इस तरह की मूर्ख बातें हैं. वो बिग फोर आती हैं बाहर से, अमेरिका की फर्म्स, वो बताती हैं आपको क्या करना है. बट नन ऑफ देम, even if one of them has the guts to challenge what I am telling, that hydrogen is green, come from whatever source, hydrogen is green. Tell me as engineers, sir, do you agree or disagree?
Agreed.
Agree, sir. As an engineer, we have to agree on that point.
So why people are discussing green, blue and yellow and violet hydrogen?
See, the basic problem is today coal industry needs its own SWOT. The SWOT is required for the coal industry.
Yes.
They are not able to take their opportunities. They are not exploiting their opportunities properly. That is the most basic problem today.
And I think their biggest potential waiting to happen is coal bed methane.
Absolutely. And that is an opportunity. That's what I'm saying.
That is a 100-year opportunity for them. And
Yes.
they're wasting their time on the 10 years, 12 years. Let them go supercritical. Let them prepare for CBM technology in India.
They are not doing SWOT. The problem is they are not doing SWOT. Nobody is helping them to do their SWOT. Do business SWOT. What we call the business SWOT is not being done by Coal India or whoever is the coal industry.
ऐसे ही China made its first thorium reactor and put it on the grid in September 2021. And they imported the reactor. And they have only 10% of 11% of the thorium fuel. We are 30% plus. But we have not done our thorium reactor. Matlab, you can import the reactor initially and then absorb the technology. When you're doing this for aircraft manufacturing in defense, you are now going to make the Tejas will come to Mark 1, Mark 2, and maybe 50% of all our planes will come from India in the long run. So why we are not doing the same thing with the thorium reactors? What is stopping us? We are still waiting for putting Kalpakam on the grid. The fast breeder reactor, stage 2.
See, in my opinion, again, I always used to say, unfortunately, the power sector has never got what is required requires the publicity in the general public. Most of the general public are not aware of what is happening in the power sector, what reforms are required in the power sector, and it's only limited to only professionals. That's where the basic problem is coming up. The general public is not aware of what is happening in the power sector, what are the problems of power sector, why it is getting lagging, what opportunities the power sector has gone, why it is not being developed by the government. See, this is what the public domain में data नहीं है public power sector के बारे में, except for the professionals. This is happening for a long time, and this is what is to be broken, and the general public should be made aware of what is power sector, what is ailing power sector, what opportunities are there in whole of the energy sector of India, what India can do. This is what is required. This is what is missing in the public domain. That is what is happening. All you see today, open any of the websites of these things, everything is in Hindi, and first opening is Hindi. You have to choose for English. They're all gone mad for these things. They're not going for in the public domain. What is required is not put in the public domain. And we need at least the professionals time for us to teach people, make them engage, and tell them what is required for the country in the coming years and how things have to improve in the power sector and energy sector together. It is a big knowledge sharing is required with the public. Today, public is not aware. And see, most of your electronic channels, whom they call for discussion on power sector, it is a very pathetic discussions happen on power sector.
Yes.
Are they really understand what they are talking?
Yes.
Pathetic discussions happen.
I will tell you, our political bosses will go to the same public and promise them free electricity to this extent, without thinking where from the electricity will come. Do we have electricity? At what stage? At what price? It's good. You can subsidize. Government can do it. But where is it that you will subsidize? This is tragic.
And, I agree with you, sir. आपने बहुत बढ़िया point raise किया है. This is what the public should understand today. Most of the public are not aware of these things. Free power for what? From where? How it will come? Nobody knows.
Where from?
Not aware. Where from? No. As if you are talking about it,
sir, I have a solution. If they are claiming, the politicians are claiming welfare state, right? I say, जो भी आपको free देना है, हमने एक प्लान बनाया था, हमने प्रधानमंत्री साहब को अप्रैल 2016 में एक पत्र लिखा. I wrote a letter to him, in which I said pro bono solar लगाइए. Pro bono मतलब infrastructure आपकी capex आप absorb कर लीजिए एक time cost. उस समय 11 lakh crore we had proposed to be taken into a fund from the farm credit. Average farm credit per annum is in the region of 11 to 14 lakh crore. So we just need 1 lakh crore to deliver 25 gigawatt of solar pro bono, which is decentralized, which went through Kusum, but it could be expanded to other rural decentralized and small town decentralized. ये छोटे-छोटे power plant लगा लो आप, एक time लगा लो, आप उसकी infrastructure को defray करो, आप उसके पैसे allocate करो, अपने budget में one time, रोज बिजली free नहीं देना. Then the sun will come free, whatever comes that will be given free. That's where there is a will, there is a way.
Absolutely.
कौन कह रहा है आप मत दो? वो कुसुम स्कीम की बात थी. वो कुसुम स्कीम में गड़बड़ क्या हुई कि 30% only will be given by center, 30% has to be given by state, another 30% by bank, and 10% of the investment will come from the farmer. पर ये model चलेगा. You have to create a fund for the whole scheme.
Absolutely. This is what.
So this out of 14 to 16 lakh crores, अब तो वो शायद 18 lakh crore है. 18 lakh crore, even if they give 1 lakh crore, even now 2 lakh crore if they give, they can energize all their pump set using solar. Rural pump set सारी energize जाएंगी, and they can put rooftops almost everywhere with a capacity index की more than 500 kilo. हम 500 to 2 gigawatt के बीच में ही rooftop देंगे. That means a minimum size, economical size is 500 kilowatt, and upwards is 2 2 megawatt. And
2 megawatt.
such types of rural and decentralized rooftops can be made for single project. They can ask the farmers to come with farmer producer organizations, which can register for producing this, so that the panchayat comes into picture. And for urban, they can have the residents' welfare societies or cooperative societies coming together in bundle and creating special vehicles to do this, because that can be given through the municipal corporations, can be kept as nodal agencies, in which they can say, okay, whichever society or cooperatives or bunch of cooperatives want to come, we can fund their solar. This could make the revolution happen. It is not that we cannot do, this free power is a misnomer. We have to defray the cost of investment, and then people can pay a small maintenance charge, 25 paisa per unit, 25-30 paisa per unit for maintenance. Ye ho sakta hai. It's not that it cannot happen, but it has to be thought out.
And also,
I don't believe in this free power. I believe in pro bono infrastructure where welfare is required.
And also, you should not ask them to put 10% of the cost. You put it 30%.
They cannot put anything. Apni rooftop de denge ya wo apni land de denge.
Bas.
Either they give the land or they give the rooftop. That's all.
Absolutely. You cannot ask them to demand
infrastructure. They become partners because they have given you the rooftop.
Absolutely.
So
and banks will never give 30%.
Since they are partners with you, you can ask for a very nominal maintenance charge so that wo clean up hota rahe, sab kuch hota rahe. That also you can generate employment locally for them by training those people. See, we need to have a national will to deliver such projects. And there's another area which we have talked about is compressed biogas. All the waste, it can generate a 1.65 trillion economy in the rural. The animal husbandry, bio-waste combined, which when Tarun Kapoor was the Secretary Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, is set at plus. That report is in public domain. They are also the same in the white paper. We have explained how if 50% of India's 6 lakh villages go through a bio-CNG plant establishment, then it could be almost 1.65 to $2 trillion of economy extraction. So ये जो आप 6 trillion की economy की बात कर रहे हैं, ये छोटे-छोटे low hanging fruits हैं जो कभी आपने किया नहीं. Don't follow the Western model, follow your model. We don't have to look at what China did. We have our own example. China does not have the ability to integrate these waste. India has.
True.
Where there is a will, there is a way. So
going back to these discoms, I don't find
discoms की क्या problem हो गई है? Discoms have become quasi-commercial organizations. Discoms क्या करेंगी? Discoms will buy the बिजली at a low cost. उनका क्या है? If they don't have to build asset, देखिए psychology क्या है discoms की? मंत्री कहता है सस्ती बिजली देनी, तो डिस्कॉम क्या करती है? डिस्कॉम सीधी जाती है, वो एक्सचेंज पे जाती है, जब 3 रुपए की बिजली होती है खरीद लेती है, जैसी प्राइस बढ़ता है खरीदती नहीं है. They do load shedding. So this is the case in Haryana because they don't have internal capacities. वो डिपेंड कर रहे हैं बाहर से बिजली ले लें, ट्रेडिंग से ले लें, किसी एनटीपीसी से एक्वायर कर लें. तो मार्केट में जो कैपेसिटीज हैं, they buy it, they pay for the bill, they don't add their own capacity. As per rule book, every state government must minimum have 50% of their capacity index delivered locally.
Professor, I live in Greater Noida, as you know. In this place, there is no effort from the end of the supplier here, MPCL, the DISCOM, to make an effort for a rooftop solar plant anywhere in this society or our nearby neighbors. Nowhere, absolutely none. Yes. Some individuals like me, like stray in our entire society of more than 100 people, we are 4 or 5.
I know.
And that too also, it doesn't come. I have booked almost 6 months back, paid some money also in advance. There is no, although the arrangement is that whatever is surplus from me, that goes to the MPCL, the DISCOM, and whatever is deficient with me, they will supply.
Right.
And they make the balance. There's no effort from their end. Absolutely.
Yeah, because they are around बैठे.
Why should they be doing it? Why should government be doing them?
देखिए ये डिस्कॉम की जो कहानी है ना regarding rooftop, they have been opposing rooftops in a way because by putting extra duties and taxes. So ये क्या है? This is like each one controls his own monopoly. So अगर अभी तो उन्होंने ये rule book लाया है कि you can easily establish and all that, but the cost, who will defray the cost? Bankers have to give the loans. ये दिक्कतें हैं. So instead of that, if there is a national fund for this kind of issues, and that fund is regionally monitored through the regulators and through the mechanism, and then nodal agencies are, they are given danda. कि अगर ये लोग लगा नहीं रहे rooftop पड़ी, and if anybody makes a request that I want solar on my rooftop, then there must be a model which enables that person to get the electricity defrayment, rooftop establishment, and automatic क्या बोलते हैं,
It's not available.
ये अभी next step है.
I have personally tried. It's not available.
I know it's not there. It's not there.
I have
they
a
have
point
brought a policy. Policy तो लाए हैं कि we can help enable, but they are not making it mandatory.
Another point I would like to share on rooftops actually. See, rooftops on the basis of on-grid rooftop. That is basically the best way, as Saad ने अभी बताया था, Khazanchi साहब ने बताया था. It's important that you should go for a on-grid rooftop, whereby when you are consuming, you will consume from there, and when you are not using it, you export to the thing, and there is a net metering provided.
Yeah, because there is a banking, there is a energy banking.
And what happened is, earlier there used to be a 30% subsidy from the central government, and state governments used to give another 30%, and the cost used to be 40%. So what happened is, people were investing only 40% of the total cost, and people were interested to invest these things. Because I have done a lot of work on grid rooftops in this area, that's why I'm able to share something with you. But today, there are no subsidies available for this. The moment there is a stoppage on the subsidies and everything, the rooftop concept has gone down. Otherwise, when subsidies are going on, everybody was coming. I would like to have a rooftop. I would like to have a rooftop. Right. But the moment subsidy is not there, and if they have to upfront, now what happens is they have to give upfront money. After that, they will get some subsidy. That is where the basic point is coming up. As you correctly said, Professor, if there is a fund and that fund is used for this creation of the asset, then it is much easier to convert a lot of rooftop on-grid solar systems can come up. And
see, I tell you, this is an advice we have to give to the Niti Aayog. See, in the past, there was the Jawaharlal Nehru Urban Renewable Mission, JNURM.
Yeah, I know that.
Such purchases happened. So they have to create that fund.
That fund,
absolutely. That has to be a national rooftop related fund. It should not be under SECI. They are always making SECI execute the nodal agencies.
That should be removed. SECI should be removed.
The nodal agencies of the state governments, and then Niti Aayog ke through it should be monitored.
Exactly. That's what is required. The
Niti Aayog should monitor has to change. So the fund only for that purpose.
Implementation process has to change.
Yeah, so therefore, we are closing this discussion. We had a beautiful 1 hour, 15-minute discussion. Thanks to Khazanchi Saab, thanks to Murthy Saab for the time, precious time. I close with the following points, that there is no option than India at least going towards 1 billion tons of coal production per annum. And that should be Coal India plus the others can add to it. The second part that has come, and that means we will continue to build some thermal coal power plants at least for the next 8 to 10 years. The second part is that we have to up the ante for hydro, no doubt about it, that we have to go towards the target of 200 gigawatt, which we had the discussion and the white paper is already there. By 2027, 100 gigawatt, and by 2030-32, we should reach 200 gigawatt of hydro. No doubt about it, because then only capacity. Third part solution we gave is the 20 gigawatt of unfired gas power plants that are available must be fired, come what may right now, to tide the emergency for the next 2, 3, 6 months. And this should not be a one-time approach. We should also ensure that we should constantly deliver the gas-based power to the country. It should not be a one-off issue, but it should be constantly delivered. Gas-based power plants are very important. They are the only option to hydropower, and they can do the plug and play. And keeping these assets idle is a national waste. So we should find a way of to energize these power plants. This is one more point the government must do. It should not react at this time, suddenly buying LNG and then firing these power plants. In fact, Vietnam has made a conscious decision, and a good country, a friendly country of ours, has made a decision that they will fire all their LNG power plants. They're going towards an LNG strategy instead of coal. So we should learn from them. we can add. For us, it's an add-on. It's not this versus that. Now comes the solar part. We came and we said that Kusum scheme can be expanded to rural and small decentralized rooftops with 100% funding, creating a special fund for that. We have to create for hydro a separate fund, for this rooftop model separate fund. Government must tackle the situation in a different way. And then for sure, railways can come back on increasing its logistics and capabilities, but railways is not the real issue. The real issue is coal sector itself. It should use technology. It should use better mining prospects. It should go towards contractual mining. It should allow the public-private partnership in the mining sector, and then extract more quantum of coal to go towards the 1 billion. We have to avoid importation, because imported coal, up to 10% we can blend, that is enough. But we must use the Indian coal. That means coal washing and other logistics must be enhanced. So with this today, I feel we have explained, this group has explained to you very well the crisis pertaining to the coal sector and what are the solutions and way forward. And surely we must go towards renewable energy, but we must not forget that we still need to build some coal power plants of the supercritical or ultra supercritical kind, and continue to expand on internal coal capacity. The 384 billion tons of coal are not there to lie there below the ground. They are an asset. We don't have to remove them. In the long run, we can go to coal bed methane. And out of the coal bed methane, we can use like the CBG, we can run power plants, or we can use it for fuel for automotives, or even extract hydrogen, as I told you, in the next stage. So the technologies are available to do this, and we should maximize these efforts of going green all around. Even coal can go green in this way. Very, very thankful to you all. All the best, and look forward to meeting you in another episode. Goodbye from all of us. God bless. Namaskar.
Namaskar.